So Sandeep is the one-man studio system from writing to exhibition.
Not really, lot more people out there in my team, and just like last year I spoke, so I feel like repeating myself, but I'm sure I'm not so popular, so I'll just say I normally carry a projector and I go and screen my films because I think my movies also need to be seen. I put in a lot of effort. I take 6-7 months to write my script, mostly alone, usually alone. And so this traveling cinema screenings kind of become like my way of meeting people and making a lot of friends. And I'm not a company. Great Indian Traveling Cinema is not a company, so I'm pretty surprised. Like, I'm happy to be part of this group, you know. And of course, Vijay is also a filmmaker. But you know, it's nice to be taken seriously at times. Because you know, while traveling, like whatever, great thing about 1080 MB, other guys, you know, I love to be there. But before that, there are so many spaces out there in India where you can just screen, you know, you just need 30-40 people and actually show your movie. And otherwise, what's my option? Like, I make a movie the way I want to, and then wait for a big director or somebody out there, big producer, to tweet about my film, or I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I'm an independent sort of guy. I don't care what they think about my films. I really make what I want to make, and I want to screen it to my audience. You know, I want to create my own small audience, and till I'm 60, 65. Keep making films. This is a long-term thing. Worst case scenario in life, I'll keep traveling and doing it. But hopefully the producer out there will produce my next film, and you know, I don't have to keep traveling like this. So that's me. Thank you.
And actually, one of the conversations from last year that kicked off is Sandeep met Vivek last year.
Right.
Which is a good way to, I think, segue.
I think what I found interesting after last year's discussion with Sandeep was how it is the purest form of independent film. He just carries it around with him. It's something so personal. So we decided to hold a screening in Cochin, and we just put it up on. There are a lot of really good groups in Kerala that supports independent films. So we just put it up there, and immediately the amount of crowd that showcased interest was really inspiring. And they just showed up, and I think you also had a blast there.
Yeah, I had a good time. I usually have a good time, but I end up meeting friends because it's an audience is just you know, it's not somebody who's like in a theater you go even with a filmmaker. So I don't have this concept of this filmmaker audience thing because you know, if I don't know them, what will I write about? So I like to be there, so it works both ways. I'll get content for my next film, and I also understand what are the moments where I'm smiling, laughing, things which didn't work. My jokes, it doesn't work always. So, you know, so I use
data analytics.
Yeah, so it works, and then they normally post-screening they take you for a beer. I get free beer. So I'll go anywhere for a free beer.
The thing is, not all creative people can take a continuous thing of feedback, right? And it's at one point you might want to step back, but you are constantly in that place of showing it to people and directly getting their feedback.
Yeah, I need to tell you that I'm independent. I don't show my script to anybody. I write my script. I pretty much, my producers are friends mostly. They don't ask me for script. So I do exactly till the point I make the film. So at least post the movie, I should take some feedback because you know, otherwise, what's the growth for me, right? As a creative person, so that really helps. And also, like I said, Nishkama Karma, what I really mean it because it cannot be just about money, money, money. There's a reason why I became a filmmaker. I would never want to forget that because you know, the option was being advertising copywriter, which I was, or go and make something out of my life, doing something which I enjoy. And traveling helps me heal, post the filmmaking wounds which open up, no, it gets healed.
A quick brief, what Realmonk, our platform, does is that we thought, why not create a platform wherein independent filmmakers can just put up their films and create a revenue out of it. So we're a small startup based out of Cochin, and we're a couple of school friends who decided to create a tech that will allow people to put their films on, and there's a dashboard, just like Movie where you can track how many downloads have happened, and we also provide marketing support for them. So we've released close to 180 films so far. It's been about 2 years since we launched, and we were able to have a user base of around 58,000 so far. The good thing about Malayalam film industry is that people like Little, for example, they keep making really good films, and every year the content library keeps increasing, and especially the independent side, people like Sanal and Sudev, they keep coming out with really good films. And we work on a 70-30 revenue share. We charge about 180 rupees and 300 per film. And they can track downloads, and we promote it to our existing user base also. So I'll quickly explain with the case of Crime Number 89, which is a really good film, made by a filmmaker called Sudevan. Now Sudevan had no prior experience. He used to work part-time in small shops, and that's when he always had that flame for making films. And finally he decided to do a short film. That kind of worked well. It got selected in the state award for best short film, and then finally he decided to do this movie called Crime Number 89. Initially started out as a small short film based on whatever money it got from his previous short film. But then people started showcasing interest, and a lot of people were ready to put in money into the project. So he just went around in a small team in a car around Kerala, and they just raised about close to I think 8 to 10 lakhs and finished off the film in that budget. And that movie won the Kerala State Film Award that year. And post that, what we decided to do is that we decided to create some exclusivity to the content. Now, what independent filmmakers should definitely work on is creating that exclusivity, creating that buzz from the start, directly from the time wherein you create the film. I think crowdfunding has quite helped in that aspect for Sudevan, wherein on the ground he had created a huge market support that by the time that we were about to release the film, people were actually writing to us asking when are we doing that. So we decided to create a 15-day pre-booking part wherein we do a social media campaign, especially Facebook. There are multiple groups like Cinema Paradiso, which has got a huge following of people who are really interested in following films like this. So that worked out quite well, and I think Sudevan did a brilliant job himself promoting to the people who had written to him, also asking, okay, when is the film going to be released? So that kind of exclusivity, I think, is something that that everyone should work on. Like either you have to create a film, like what I recommend to people creating films in Malayalam is that either create a film in a budget of less than 30 lakhs, or go all out, get a good cast. Like Tundi Modal is a movie that came out recently. It's quite independent in nature, but the cast and everything helped it go big time on screen. So that's what I usually recommend when it comes to creating content in Malayalam.
Thanks, Vivek. And well, one of the wonderful films of this year, I heard about it, and Lijo's film Angamali Diaries has created a sensation, and he worked with Saurabh to get it out, and there were multiple screenings all over. So I'd love for you to start telling us where did you start this journey, and now we're here with the movie.
Hello everyone, very good morning. And I think this after the biggest flop of my career, so I had nothing to look forward to. So it was like a few projects were planned, and it was like mostly, I mean, there were stars involved because we had to release it in the commercial market in Kerala. And then, so it went on for a while, the planning part of it. That is March, April goes to October, November goes to next March and April. So it's went on and on. So I realized this, all we need to tell a story, bring out a cinema is the kind of faces actually required for a movie when you read the script. So we decided to go all out, and it was a complete new cast in our film. Not even a single person had a prior experience in films. Like it was like
They were professional actors, or some of them?
like some of them were from theatre, and most of them were from the plays. Like the film was titled Angamali Diaries, and most of the people, like we required more than like 90 characters in the film, and I can say that it will be at least 80-85 people were like from the place, from the locals. So we had a workshop, and we properly groomed them to be a part of the kind of cinema it was, and it was like all
How long was that process of workshop?
it was, I would say, we took around around 2 months or so to get the right kind of people, and then to groom them. Maybe I mean we had a lot of readings, and because most of them were not familiar at all with the process of how a film is made and how to behave in front of camera and all that. So we made it quite comfortable for them to come in front of camera and be themselves, because we really required people from the place of Angamali, and we wanted them to speak and behave in such a way that how they would behave in real life in Angamali, because the film demanded that kind of a thing. And the only thing was, since it was a film like that, and we shot it on a very small budget. I mean, removing the technicians' charges and the remuneration of all the technicians, including me, the writer, the cinematographer, a lot of people, I mean, who all compromised into film. And we decided to take it later when the film is released, or when if it works. I'm not into that business anymore. Okay, so it was like, so we had the challenge of releasing it and getting it to reach people with cinema like that, because the industry as such in Kerala, I mean, I think it's more of a star run industry, and
Less than other parts, little less than other parts, right?
yeah, like most of the most of the country how it runs. So we had a producer who supported us to get it released, like distribute it in Kerala. As a home market, we could do really well. In
How many screens?
it was like more than 90 screens. We released in Kerala.
On the
only
first day.
Kerala.
On the first day itself.
Yeah, or in Kerala we released, and it did quite well. That was the best part of it, because we did not expect it to like go really out there and reach people. We just expected it to just be there for a week or two, and like people, yeah, we wanted people to say that it's a good film, and we just wanted to get back the basic expenses on us. So then later, actually, we actually released it in few places after the success in Kerala, but it did not actually say
The conventional route of going to a distributor and releasing it in those places first.
like all over India we had releases, but when it was like hardly seen, like 2 or 3 shows or a week, but when
And very little promotion for those meet.
yeah, because when, I don't think there were any kind of promotions in outside Kerala when it released. So then a friend of mine who's a filmmaker again, Bijoy Nambia, so he actually introduced me to Saurabh, who was like venturing into something called 1018 MB. And initially I really couldn't get the idea of what it was. And then he was trying to explain, okay, this is what we're trying to do. So, but when that happened, actually I think when it had that massive reach into the entire country, to all the kind of audiences actually we wanted to reach. Because for a regional cinema, I don't know how far it has happened before, like a proper commercial release or reaching out to people in the entire country, different states, different language speaking people. So that was like a great experience for us, and we got to meet a lot of people, similar minded people, similar creative from different industries, who all watched the film, and we had a chat over the film, and it was I think.
But how many screenings? Over 100 screenings, I believe, right?
Tell the truth.
And the statement, he needs a statement of a card also.
Tell the truth.
I think those two guys, my co-founders, would have the exact numbers, but I know that it's more than 12 cities. where it's been and it's continuing. So we've got.
Your check is in the mail.
Yeah, the check is in the mail. Actually, it's less. It shows less on the checks than it shows in the table.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing because I think there are two kind of audiences you open up. One is people from Kerala who are living all over the country. If they read about something, otherwise normally it's very hard for them to see a regional film which won't get promoted in Delhi or wherever if they're not living in that area. And B, other people in that area who hear about it, they suddenly get an opportunity to see it.
No, it's funny. The first few shows. The first few shows, it was 90-95% Malayalis, and as in now there's hardly any Malayalis.
This is Saurabh. I'll just do a little bit of your intro, so as we said.
You can praise and market us during this process. It'll be good.
So despite Saurabh, the film was good. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that it's the way it's changed, the way the people who are watching it has changed, and the way the referral has worked. So we monitor a lot of the social movements.
So sorry, roughly how many weeks after the first release in Kerala did you guys do your first screening?
Yeah, it was around 100 days. And it's,
broadly, that's the time it took to spread. Vijay got in touch, and you guys started.
So Vijay, we were sharing an office. It was largely by chance. We were sharing an office, and it was during that time the discussion came up. And the funny part there is, so two of my co-founders are there, and I remember the first day. So we were doing more of the conventional Hindi stuff or the classics. And Santosh, one of my colleagues, came up with an idea, and I was like, we had this major argument where I felt that it will be a waste of and loss of focus. And for me, it's as in A, I've been proved wrong, but B, it's been the most joyous journey with Angamali, and it's exposed me to the quality of stuff that's been done.
One thing you told me, one of the most interesting things that they were quite thoughtful in the way they targeted the first. Of course, like you said, the first was the local expats, or whatever you want to call them there. And the next round, you kind of figured the what I call the mavens, the guys who are really, they genuinely loved it. I mean, I have friends, my friend Sridhar Raghavan has sent me multiple messages about many people like that. You can see the genuineness of that. That's a really nice way to start telling people you trust, people who you know well, when they're talking about something that really kicks off this kind of a campaign.
It's always fun when the CEO is proven wrong by a film.
I know. Other technically, I'm just a founder, but I guess it's always fun for the team.
So I think there's an amazing range of experiences here. Thanks for sharing all of this. I think one of the really interesting things coming up, out of this is a lot of times I think technology, each time it moves on, it kind of makes us more and more lonely. Now Netflix and whatever, you end up watching it on your screen, all of that. I love the way, in different ways, these guys are really using technology to what cinema does really nicely to create communities, whether it's online, whether it's actually bringing people together, repurposing venues. We haven't really talked too much about that as well, right? They talk about doing stuff outside the regular cinemas. So, but cinema has always been a great place. Half of the fun of cinema is watching the movie, but maybe more than half the fun is talking about it and talking together about it. So, anyone wants to just start this?
Just before they start on the theatre thing, may I say that I think mainly what I felt, I've done 3 small independent films till now. I can bring it till completion, and what I feel is this number of screens, exclusively for independent films or certain kind of regional films, whatever.
But I think we're already sitting here with some solutions for you as well, right?
Screens, not necessarily in terms of theatres, I would say. That's of course one, like an eventized thing, but maybe for a month, let's say, I'm assuming, for example, for a month, if it's a short run of a month, let's say.
What can I think that the challenge again, I think the wonderful thing of, I'll make a maybe relatively crude analogy in the sense, the multiplexes are kind of designed to they're like a McDonald's for food, right? And it's wonderful to have people who want to have an individual experience, all of that, but I don't know if McDonald's is a place you go for that, right? So maybe given that a short 1 month run in today's scenario, either you have to have an art house circuit that will...
Yeah, maybe, so essentially where I'm coming from is like, I'm saying that maybe that's where, a lot of things can be done, right? But we need to have clarity, I feel. I mean, what I'm trying to say, maybe I'm wrong, is that we just need some small 30-40 seater kind of spaces which are already existing. It need not be multiplexes, it can be just existing spaces like, like I said, co-worker spaces, other spaces with decent sound and stuff. You don't need a big screen experience for all kind of films, maybe as a compromise. But 100, at least 100 around the country. So on a Friday, let's say if a PVR takes out my film, or some other, say one of the big chains, takes out my film because only 60 people turn up, I can continue the screening for a month more in 30 seaters, and the film needs to have that kind of time out there, because only then people will discover it. Otherwise, you're killing it, and you're saying there's no audience for our kind of films, which I don't think is right. I have seen the audience while traveling. There is an audience for it.
But you're talking about doing 4 shows a day for 30 days. That
No, give me one show and have 6, 7 other movies also like that, like how you're showing it in Miniplex and stuff, like on. But so more films can run and people can discover it. So second week they discovered a movie called Freelancer existed. Now they asked me where can I see it. So I said it's not there because some big people out there said it doesn't deserve 60 people. It needs 500 people. So I never seen 500 people together. So that kind of stuff.
Look, what you're saying is interesting, because if you see what has happened with IPL is that there are a lot of screens existing which are being underutilized. So you've got, according to my estimate, about 1,500 screens. And to take it into context, there are about 1,900 multiplex screens available across the country. So you've got almost the capacity of multiplex, which is available across. It's just that they're not collated, which makes it easier for you. And so it is something which is which will get through. So it will be, it's existing. It's just not. It's collated. It's just used for 2 months in a year, and that's where it dies.
I agree with that. Even though I am online, the reason I'm online is because exactly it's not collated. There is an independent scene. There are people who want to watch independent cinema. It's just that we have not built an industry that Bollywood or Hollywood has been able to build with the studio system. So we need communities, we need spaces, and everybody to come together to celebrate one film that breaks something and pushes the envelope beyond what traditional cinema does. Communities are really important. I think the video that Sandeep showed is with people, and that's powerful. When people come together, people I don't know, and I said, see a film with them, and I'm out there grabbing coffee or something, and I say, what do you think about the film? I develop a relationship. That's what movies really do. Something that we're trying to replicate online, but I really think offline is very required for online to actually be successful.
Talking with the community. Sorry.
Just to add a point, the biggest problem in online is getting people to pay for content. Like in our population, it's great. Like people are able to pay online to purchase something, especially movie when it comes to films, because I think the trend is to consume online through piracy, pirated content. To actually use a debit card or credit card and make a payment online, it takes a bit of convincing. I think that's a roadblock. But reaching out to the right audience online has been able to do that a bit more.
I think some years ago, maybe 10 or 15 years back when I was in school, so I used to go for these small group screenings, which used to be called as film societies, like small film societies used to be there in all the small towns and cities and all. But I don't know how far that is there anymore, because when the idea of watching a cinema has changed a lot these days. You can go to a multiplex or with a better sound, but then again that part of gathering in a place, watching a film with like-minded people and having a discussion over that particular cinema and sharing a cup of tea and a piece of cake, makes a lot of difference. So I think that particular aspect of the gathering should come back. So now we are more networked in that space. We have a lot of platforms these days, like social media and all, is so strong. And get to find like-minded people who love cinema, or to discuss about a matter which is discussed in the cinema. So I think if there is a common platform all over the country in different spaces like states or districts, you can create that with the help of any kind of social media right now. If there is a guy or if there's a group of people who coordinates it between states or between districts, clubs like this, and you can publicize the cinemas which are like definitely coming out in a big way or a very interesting way. Cinemas from anywhere in the world or cinemas from anywhere in the country. So something like what Sandeep was doing is like a big eye-opener to me also. Because for me personally, when I'm a person who likes to move, if I'm at my home, I want to go to Cochin. If I'm in Cochin, I want to go to Trivandrum. If I'm in Trivandrum, I want to come to Mumbai. So yeah.
Not really. I mean, if someone pays for my travel, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But just want to just add, I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's also a huge segment of people who are somewhere between the typical mainstream big Bollywood films and this film festival audience, you know. This is the guys who are right now in the office. Today's what, Thursday, Wednesday, whatever. So they're in the office right now. My wife is in the office. So we have to have a timing, you know. It's a huge segment of sensible people out there.
Yeah.
They are the stressed guys. They are the guys who actually need accessible movies. You know, so I want to cater to them too, because it's not all of them who are interested in films are right now sitting. You know, we are all people who are making films or want to make films.
Yeah.
If we just keep catering to ourselves, you know, it's like, you know, great, we keep, you know, clapping to our movies, but we have to reach out to them, and to them, how do we reach out is a thing. So that's why. So where are the places these people frequent? They go to a cafe, they go to a pub. They want to experience something beyond a movie hall, a good evening out, right? So how else can you throw in these things to these people?
Which is also one of the things we talk about.
The experience you're sharing, along with the
aspects, but also I think that the tax aspect also is kind of getting sorted out with GST.
GST that's one of the offshoots of GST.
Told me about is that they look at venues, whether it's a cafe or something like that, where they also now can show it. And sometimes a movie might be a nice one to have a beer with, or you can. I mean,
the other fun thing which we notice, so we usually do a lot of cluster analysis whenever we see a certain group of people coming for a number of shows together. So we were doing this cluster analysis and we realized for a particular genre that we realized that all of them did not know each other. They just started coming together because it was a kind of, and even for the more recent movies that we were doing, because it was a kind of group that was created because they liked talking during the interval or post the movie, having a discussion with the other people who did not know each other at all. So as an offshoot, it's an interesting thing.
It is, I feel the entire independent film space itself was like pre-independent India. So we have to figure out
since on the platform, princely states.
Yeah, we have to figure out a common platform. Say, I hope an organization like NFDC can do it, like to unite the entire movement happening in the country, like to bring out all these people who wants to be in a place and watch cinema. You can easily create something like that, which is like literally dying down, like a culture like film societies. Like, so you can actually bring back that kind of.
We have the technology that I guess, if anyone wants to talk about, I guess, is there a challenge in ensuring the piracy part of it, in getting it to these unconventional or wider venues?
It's a yes and a no. So I'll tell you why is it a yes and a no. There is like the online guys have done a lot of work in this. The problem with some of these movies is to also convince the producer very early on his stage to let it be opened up to those kind of platforms. Secondly, you can't really monitor. Like with the cinema, you can monitor through a couple of chains. You can monitor 900 to 1,000 screens. So it is there right now. It is something that I believe in, again, because we're working it, or we're supposed to launch something which we believe can help. But having devices which is like a KDM on a local location, on an off-center location, which encrypts it strongly. So it's still, let's see where it goes. But yes, there is a risk because you can't really monitor somebody with a camera or whoever is there, and especially for a new movie. As of now, it is a risk.
So I'm just going to, I think it's time for questions. So please fire away. Can someone get a mic up here? We can start, and there's next one here, and then there's one at the back.
So this question is for several of you all, Vivek and Rishi and Saurabh. So Vivek said that I'm encouraging people to say either you go below 30 lakhs or you then go like star system and you're 3 to 5 or 10 crore rupee film, whatever. But what if I said, I need 2 crores, I want to raise 2 crores, my movie needs 2 crores to be shot the way it's been imagined, right? Now suppose I said, I want to come with you guys because you guys know how to find my audience. They're all over the world. So I'm not going to do theatrical, let's say. So suppose I say, is it possible you think that in 5 years, through all of y'all, I can recover 2 crores? I'm not talking about this year or next year, I'm saying a 5-year period. I'm not worried whether 90% of it comes in the 5th year. Maybe there's a build-up and a tipping point, who knows? And the second related question is, are you all exclusive or can I be with all of y'all, which means that I am more empowered and you guys have all got different audiences in different ways and all of y'all can contribute to that pool?
Yeah, so take the second question first and then I think that's a good way to start.
We work together with many of them, so yeah, if we're not exclusive, that's the...
She also mentioned that I think at the live thing you get a free copy on movie things as well, right?
We are not exclusive, and I think...
Same, we're also non-exclusive.
Well, that's great to hear because I think that's the first starting point to not... No, I think that's the only way to survive is to create... It's about addition, not subtraction, right? I think... So, okay, and now the second part, who's got the best crystal ball?
The reason I started about the amount that I specified is in Malayalam, the total population is just 3.5 crore. That's 30 million essentially. And from that audience for an independent film to reach out and get that return on investment, it's been really hard. That's why especially in Malayalam it's more difficult. Even if you look at the NRI population, it's 35 lakhs with a high end who are ready to pay for online content. But to recover, let's say 2 crore, it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible in the next coming 5 years, as long as people are trained to pay for content, which I believe is slowly happening. But at the same time, the risk is that it's more what kind of people are leading the movie. The lead in the film is quite important still when it comes to it. Otherwise, you have to be
on the online space as well, Vivek, you're saying even on the online, the star factor helps a lot in
a lot, because the online population kind of like projects to that in terms of the Facebook following that they have plays a huge role during the release of the film. When we did a couple of mainstream movies online, that is a huge impact, like when a star puts it up on Facebook. Otherwise, you have to, like Sanil Kumar had a huge fan following, even though the cast of the film wasn't that great. But him personally, the director was able to bring on that kind of an audience to the platform. But let's see what happens in the next 5 years.
So basically, you're saying stretch the 2 to 3, put a star for that one extra, and then you can recover 5 years.
That would happen. I mean, not in 5 years, but immediately.
Mr. The Bank, go ahead, start production.
So my answer to that would be a question. Are you coming to me with a movie that's not done, or are you coming with me a movie that you've already spent 2 crores with?
I've raised the funds.
So that's going to be an issue because you already have financial that you're answering to. What ideally, I would love to work with a film that has an idea. I'm at the script stage. We don't have a cast. We want to raise 2 crores. You come to me and we're basically, you have 5 years. So it'll take you 1 year to shoot the film maybe. So we have 1 year to market that the film is going to be made right from the moment that the story is conceptualized. That is going to lead to, after 5 years, people are still following this traction. So that's, I think, if you're coming to me with a film that is in its conceptualized state, 100% you're going to raise 2 crores at the end of 5 years.
Okay, I think we're going to get to, sorry, I think we need to just take a few more and we'll try and cover, sorry. Check the timer, but I don't know who the timer is, so I can't check him or her. So okay, next question.
Hi, a question to you, Sandeep. You have been moving around with your film, but could you collect the money that you spent on your movies by this way of screenings?
Yeah, it took me 6 years, 3 films. Love Wrinkle Fear, first film, Ola Venki, and then Freelancer. 6 years, but recently, after Freelancer release, the same week, I sold all 3 films and recovered all the money, right? So to Shimano. But not to traveling or moving around in a seat. I'm saying traveling is just to keep the bus going so that you will invite me to sit here with these people. Honestly, that's what I do. Traveling, I keep it going. 30 people watching, I tell them pay as I wish if you wish. So how much should I get? Mostly it covers my traveling cost and also, like I said earlier, other things, the creative part of it. Pretty much, I'm a filmmaker, I'm not a businessman. But it took 6 years. So I'm here, like I said, for the long term. and maybe over a period of time these things start making money. So it's not immediate. Anyway, my films are very low budget, tight budget, right budget. 35 lakhs, so 3 films. It's still to come to a crore, all 3 of my films, right? So if I raise more than that, producer should be happy, and you can trust me.
Great. Next.
Yeah, my question is, I'm Mr. Mukesh Mehta from Kerala. My question is to Mr. Saraf. Since you say you're controlling 900 screens, why don't you...
Not controlling,
programming, whatever, sorry, programming 900 screens. Why don't you introduce the system of a movie pass, which is very, very famous abroad?
We are in the process.
Let me complete. And that movie pass also, you could restrict it from Monday to Thursday, since on weekends, they want to, make a lot of money, the exhibitor. And especially this movie passes should be priced lower, because people are not prepared to pay. Why people don't go to multiplexes outside South is because the ticket rates are very high. People do not want to spend 300, 400, 500 rupees, and especially on the weekend, to watch an experimental film. So something like a movie pass will work big time. This is my feeling and my conviction.
A great question, Anand.
No, surely, and it's something, and I like your suggestion on...
So just to clarify, movie pass is like a monthly subscription, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A monthly subscription, like I guess we talked about the US one or the later one, and they've got excess capacity. I think the cinema chains are coming around. It is, though the only problem is it'll take some time to get through. Technically, if I'm a cinema, I should do that because
You're agnostic to the cinema. If it's in the cafe venues, you can still run.
that we run tests and we are still doing in the alternate venues. We are playing around with it.
With the pass.
So I'll make more money in the pass business with the food and beverage margin than this. So I can.
You're going to pass on more money to Lijo then.
I'll pass on more money to them. So we share all our money, food and beverage.
No, but I think that's a really interesting conversation because, the cinemas make more money out of the F&B than they do out of the thing. So there's a very interesting way to reinvent this where, and I know all these guys who run these restaurants, they'd love to just have people in. They're not going to charge you per person coming in. Now you guys can take all of that. They take all that. It's a very interesting way to make the pie bigger for the people who are actually all part of the process. So, I think there's really something in this. I think you need a critical amount of movies to keep people seeing the worth of subscribing and coming in.
I think each ticket, if it's one samosa's price, is given to the filmmaker. Very happy.
Samosa or money?
No tax, but entire samosa. I mean, how much comes to a guy, right? Director or the producer?
No, absolutely. I mean, I calculated
the idea to cut the leakage.
I calculated, I went to see one of these movies, I think 10 or 12% of the ticket was eventually coming to the producer after the distributor share out of maybe a 50.
Samosa cost more, 50-60 bucks.
About 1,800 bucks for 2 people to go and have a bite and everything. Out of that, you get maybe a couple $100. So it's a crazy amount of leakage in that way of.
So I think I have an idea right now because we can have a company and a catering company together. So next one maybe I'll start a catering company and make a film. So I'll supply the food too along with mine.
Yeah, I don't mind samosa.
Yeah, Lego's movie have an extra catering and people buy a lot more F&B for Anumali Diary.
We're getting dyslexic here. We can't read these words right now. I think it says uptime. We have to increase the questions. No, it says time up. Unfortunately,
It used to be like, before it used to be like...
question, okay. Just one thing, a Steve Jobs level question. Come.
I've been seeing this interaction. The main motive of this session is show me the money.
I don't think that's fair. I think it's about Sandeep's journey.
We changed it into show me the samosa. There are 3-4 guys here who have done something. It's every company, I think 2-3 years. But in terms of Paul just said about data analytics and some numbers to show, how to build up things. And secondly, like already established theatre chains like UFO Movies has a thing called UFO Movies Club X, which has got about close to 2,500 screens, private spaces. So such spaces are there. Defense is showing every week movie in all their battalions. So I came here thinking that some tapping will happen in all those areas when you're talking about spaces. So my two question is, show me some data, show me something that is a traction in this.
That's a great question. I don't think data companies ever like to show that one thing. We are the product. We are not.
Saurabh,
I'll show you one data which is kind of weird data, but look at Andaz Apna Apna. By next year, we'll have more box office. On Andaz Apna Apna resells through our platform than there was originally when Andaz Apna Apna was created. Now, having said that, you have to adjust for inflation as well as you have to adjust for the fact that it's been so many years and we've got way more time. But that's a comparable data. We are already a decent way up to that in terms of the box office we've been generating through these alternate screenings which are there for a movie which is 25 years old.
So you can always talk about finance to Saurabh. He's a finance guy, and
midlife crisis is what created this.
And he bets for wine.
Yeah, but that's what leads me here.
Vivek, Rishi, you guys want to talk about? I think it's a great question.
Yeah, I think again, see, as we had earlier shared, going with the data is always a risky thing also. Generally, if you look at Angamali Diary, this came out of the blue. Like, we never expected so much to come out of it. But if you'd gone with data, who would have said 100 new actors, and how do you rely on their acting skills to reach the level that Angamali Diaries did? It's never been on data. I think even a lot of new players who entered the market is also, let's say Netflix or Amazon, also gone a bit wrong in a couple of series which used and built on the base of data. So I think as a director, there's a choice between data versus what your heart tells you to do.
Oh, can I add something there? I mean, maybe I think it's also about trusting people, I mean, more than data, because we end up trusting data, and it's not a I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it's creative thing, it's not about logic and stuff. If it all was about logic, then things would work. But the business crowd will take it to the language which they understand. But I personally feel it's a creative industry. It's about not logic, it's about intuition and trusting and gut feeling, knowing what is good, what is bad. So that also needs to have equal importance as data.
Really, I have my 2 cents. I'm a data engineer. I hate data. I know it's good as far as medicine is concerned or finance is concerned, but art, when you're producing stuff based on data, if a million people have watched a movie and we're deciding that, okay, so then the next movie should be made for those billion people, art does not evolve. And that's the problem I have with all these big companies. If you continue let's take music for example, if we continue making the same music, we'd still be listening to classical. There won't be any rock, there won't be any rap.
Rishi, there's no debate on the content should be done like how Reggie said or how you guys said. Without passion and intuition, nothing works.
Yeah, I don't think he was talking about the inception of the product itself. He's saying now you have data on 100, 200 films. That's the data he's talking about how you exploit the or whatever market.
Yeah, so you mean, are you talking about data that the viewer data? Are you talking about the people that are showing up?
Yes. After
the audience data in whatever form it's.
So, I think a good example of this, of how we use data for local Kung Fu was, you saw the 21 countries. I didn't expect those countries to show up. So every week we'd sit down with Kenny and say, okay, who are the people who are coming up? We did an ad campaign on India, but there are 20 people showing up from UAE. So we create a custom campaign for the Middle East. That week, Middle East was our target. Following week, I mean, of course, Europe and everything, we were not getting huge amounts of data that just came later on. But that, for us, I think lots of big companies don't share data, but for us, sharing data with the filmmakers is one of the most crucial things because that helps us create a marketing campaign. If they make money, we make money. That's as simple as it is.
Well, thank you. Sorry, unfortunately, I think time is up. Thank you, everyone here. It's been again a fantastic session. I really enjoyed it, and thank you all for the questions and the participation. Thanks.
Thank you, Rohan, Rishi, Saurabh, Sandeep, Ijo, and Vivek.